Erin. Let's say it's at, oo.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello, Dr. Sujat. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you, Phyllis. Dr. Phyllis, it's a pleasure meeting you. First of all,
Thank you.
yeah,
Likewise.
wonderful. So, did I make you wait for too long?
No, not at all.
Okay, I was trying to
Yes.
log in. So, welcome to the Women Economic Forum, which is being hosted in Bangalore this time. And I'm loving the tagline that we have, which is reconnect, reboot, reset, re-energizing enterprises in the new world. And as I'm doing that, I looked at the profile that I have about you, which is so beautiful. And I'll be really
Thank you.
happy to introduce you to the rest of the audience, if you can allow me to do so.
Thank you. Please go ahead.
Okay, so Dr. Phyllis Makurunje is an emerging space leader passionate about the application of space technologies in Africa's context. In 2018, and this is really beautiful, she was selected to participate at the 21st session of the Committee on Sciences and Technology for Development for the United Nations Economic and Social Council. Dr. Phyllis sits on the Executive Council of the Space Generation Advisory Council in support of United Nations space programs and the President's Council of Student Advisors of American Ceramic Society. There is so much that I can speak about Dr. Phyllis. She's an technopreneur and is an executive team of Hadum Palace, an African outer space network startup that is part of the United Nations Global Compact. A passionate engineer, Dr. Phyllis advocates optimized STEM education and is involved in mentoring a lot of students. Let me welcome to you welcome you all to this interaction with Dr. Phyllis. It's a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so are you able to see me?
I can't see you as yet. I don't seem to see your video.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right, so
There we
you're
go.
all
I
right.
see you now. Yeah.
Wonderful. So
Great.
it was lovely reading about the kind of contribution that you have made and the accolades that you have got. It's very beautiful reading about it. So, Dr. Phyllis, um, over to you. Do take us through your journey and your contribution and the way in which you want to transform and take this forward in Africa. Yes.
All right. So I got onto the space platform, I would say accidentally.
All right.
Yeah, I enrolled for my master's studies at Wits University, and the professor I met asked me, "Would you like to do a project that is related to space materials?" And without thinking twice, well, I wanted to start my studies. I just went yes, and I hadn't realized at first. I was a bit taken aback. I was like, does space technology, do space technologies really work in the African context? Are they relevant? So I felt a bit lost. But when I started getting into the field, I realized that there are a lot of space technology opportunities for application in the global south, and particularly on the African continent. And so I got excited. My area that I got assigned to was hypersonic technology, which is hypersonic travel. This is about planes that will take an hour to get from one continent to another. So if you were to fly from India to the US, you would be able to do that in just an hour. So
Awesome.
yeah, incredible, right?
Totally, totally. I'm just reminded of Musk.
Oh yeah, that's it. So when I got that assignment, I was so excited. I took this to social media, LinkedIn. I started talking about hypersonic technologies. But to my surprise,
Hmm.
I met a bit of cyberbullying.
Okay.
Um, some people were saying, "Hey, look, you're from Africa. You
Okay.
what does a young lady have to do with space technologies in Africa? When you're in Africa, you should be talking about hunger. You should be talking about food. Go and address health issues in Africa. Go and address hunger issues in Africa." So at first, of course, it was my first time to experience such kind of cyberbullying. But when I realized that most people were not well acquainted with space technologies. Most people, when they think of space technologies, all they see is men walking on the moon or
Absolutely.
these launches to Mars. So it actually drove me to start having discussions around policy, discussions around showing people how can we use space technologies to address our everyday lives. Yeah.
Wow, this is beautiful because it's a fabulous way in which you've broken the glass ceiling. When everyone was talking to you about, and you did mention there was cyberbullying, us cornering you to do something around hunger just because everyone's talking about it, and you've gone way beyond that. So that's been an incredible thing to hear about you. In fact, I must admit, when I was reading up about your profile, I wasn't able to get as much. And when I'm hearing you talk about your story, I think this is a beautiful journey you have had. So, what are some, what are some powerful messages that you might want to share with the younger generation who also might have certain challenges that you have faced, which is asking them to go along a boxed way of thinking? You've broken that barrier, and we'd love to hear how you have overcome that challenge.
So I think there are a lot of opportunities for young people. The theme that a personal theme that I've been really looking at and talking about is going further, but getting closer. This is around the deeper planets in space like Mars, Pluto, and all of that, and the moon, back to the moon. And it's so easy for one to not find their place in the space context. But really, for young people, the opportunities are for them to see how these technologies can get closer to their everyday lives. And one such area is small satellites. So small satellites are really transforming the world, and more so in the global south, in developing countries. In that, they are breaking, like you just said, they're breaking the ceiling of the traditional approach to space. In which we were seeing governments leading the space drive, leading the space technologies, the space launches, the space applications. But that has since changed, Dr. Sujata. Now we are seeing civilians leading this drive. We are seeing, even in South Africa, we actually have a primary school that gathered up students, and they began to teach them about small satellites. Of course, they collaborated with some partners in the US, and they actually launched a satellite into space. So we are seeing the traditional perceptions about space being broken, that it is not just for people in STEM, that is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. It's for everyone. We're seeing people in law, they're doing space law, they're addressing issues around how do we tackle space, what they call space behavior. We are seeing people in social sciences starting to focus on how do we build societies or communities that are going to be in space, because the drive is around Martian settlement, that is having settlements on Mars. We are seeing people in economics coming to on the space platform. We're seeing people in agriculture. How do we use space technologies, satellites to do precision agriculture? We're seeing mining. People in mining are mapping resources, mineral resources, using satellites. So I like that platform, that space is open to everyone in every profession or career endeavor. So it means that anyone can be anything in this space context.
Which is so beautiful, because my next question was actually about how do you apply all of whatever you've spoken about, which is the enormous opportunity we have in space technology, to Africa. And you actually shared it so beautifully when you spoke about how it connects to social sciences, how it connects to economics, how it connects to agriculture, and many such practices which are going to be very relevant to people. My question then to you would be, Dr. Fellis, how, and these are policy changes that you're looking at, right? And you're looking at something that has already been formed and some traditional approach. While it might be a personal interest for you to drive this for yourself, how you're taking people along with you, so that they get the same kind of an exposure and are enthused to understand, the kind of opportunities that are out there.
There are a number of platforms that are really helping us achieve this. One such organization that I'm involved with is the Space Generation Advisory Council. This is for young people who are below the age of 35. And it's a global platform that allows young people who have space interests to participate. It actually connects these young people, like you just indicated, to United Nations platforms. It also helps to connect these young people to their governments, to their policymakers. But it also gives the opportunity for volunteering. It also connects these people to employers. So it also connects young people to institutions for training, for education. So as I participate in this organization, it helps us to reach as many people across the globe, and more so on the African continent and the greater global South. And when we do so, we've seen this chain. We've seen more of a chain, a domino effect, right? That the more we reach out to people, the more they really get excited about this, and they want to tell their friends more about space technologies. So what we sometimes see, like, oh, we're just doing this small thing, has just become something really big. I believe that the Space Generation Advisory Council, I think it must be the biggest organization globally, just working with young people to connect them to space opportunities and platforms. Yeah.
Which is wonderful. And when you were talking about the way in which it's connecting people, connecting minds, at the end of the spectrum, we're talking about how it's going to benefit society and civilizations and how everyone can contribute to it. And it's wonderful to see the work that you're doing in that space. When you spoke about hypersonic travel and the ability to form communities, Martian communities. These are not just intriguing, but when you look at the art of the possible, that there is something that can be done out there and you can add value, it must be a beautiful experience for you. How do you feel about your journey? There is so much that you have done.
Well, thank you, Dr. Sujata. I just feel like I'm just starting, actually.
Oh.
And not to underplay the really amazing opportunities that have come my way. I must say it's really quite there have been a lot of pleasant surprises, and I really appreciate these opportunities. But really, they have really come from just talking to people, ordinary people, sometimes at school, sometimes at work, about space technologies. And the next time you get an invite to speak at this or that platform or participate in such a discussion. So it's just really been me just doing my everyday work and following my passion. And it has come with these wonderful surprises. And I'm hoping that this is just the beginning. We would like to reach as many young people as we can who are both in cities and in villages, those who don't have ready opportunities at their disposal, to also have the opportunity to participate in space technologies and also to become whatever they dream to become.
Wonderful to hear that. So would it be right to say that the next vision that you have is to take more people along, irrespective of where they are, whether they are in cities or villages, but to bring everyone together and expose them to space technologies, which you see, and as you've shared, has a huge opportunity for everybody?
That's right. My dream is to have everyone appreciate and actually use space technologies in their own spheres of everyday life. If they're a farmer, I want them to use space technologies. If they're even just in the education system, for them to use this satellite technologies wherever they are. If it's in health, the telehealth opportunities, in transportation, energy, water management, a lot of resources management, all those platforms. We want everyone to benefit from space technologies that are affordable, that are relevant, and that really makes sense to their livelihood.
Thank you so much for that. And that is so beautiful because you've actually brought everything together. You want to make it affordable, you want to make it relevant, and you want people to appreciate. And you've said it in a very simplistic manner that it's out there for everybody. And your dream is so beautiful. So here's wishing you the very best in your journey, Dr. Phyllis. And thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and views.
Thank you, Dr. Sujata. I really appreciate.
Okay, all right. So I'm just trying to see if there is any, if we have our second speaker, Monique Kastlers. Is she there as well? Monique, by any chance, have you joined the forum? All right. So she's not there. But I got to hear so much about space technology. It's piqued my brain, and I'm very happy to hear about your views and the examples that you gave, and how everybody, irrespective of whether they belong to STEM, and now we hear a lot about STEM and STEAM as well, because the arts are also coming in together. Liberal arts is coming together under STEAM. So probably it's going to be a great opportunity for everyone to understand what space technology is all about. Right. Okay. So while we wait for the others, let me just check if there are any questions that we have from the audience. You have flowed them anywhere, so I'm just trying to see if there is something more that we can share with it. All right.
Hello.
So, oh, hi.
I'm sorry, I had a little trouble getting in. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm in. Good, thank you.
Thank you so much for coming in. And on that note, I'm going to thank Dr. Phyllis. We had a brilliant discussion about space technology and the opportunities. I'm going to thank you once again, Dr. Phyllis, and it's been a huge pleasure talking to you on behalf of the Women's Economic Forum, all the way from India. So look forward to not just virtually meeting, but meeting in person as well sometime soon.
Thank you
so much.
Hi, good morning. Good morning in Colombia. Sorry, good evening there. How are you?
Doing very well. And how are you doing? How's Colombia doing?
Well, good. Everything is okay. Trying to be happy, even though the situation, you know.
I know. All right. So it's wonderful to have both the speakers for this particular session on the power of initiative to surmount challenges. So welcome to both of you, Dr. Daria Darosh, as well as Yasmira Mercado. So I'm going to take a brief opportunity to introduce Dr. Daria Darosh. And I'm going to request you to introduce yourself, Yasmira. While I know that you have done a lot of work as a CEO, founder of Royal Tours Agency, I'm going to request you to introduce yourself. Let me quickly, and I know it's very difficult to do a quick job, especially when the accolades are very huge. Dr. Daria Darosh is an artist, educator, and researcher interested in how art, fashion, and technology converge on the body to create new cultural narratives. I found it so beautiful when I was reading that. So I'm looking forward to hearing more from you. She is a co-founder of the AIR Gallery in New York, the first nonprofit arts organization established in 1972 by 20 women artists to provide alternatives to mainstream art institutions that excluded women. A PhD she's an adjunct faculty of Smart Lab with a PhD in pattern systems in arts and the fashion. She identifies new economic models for artists and designers at the American Folk Art Museum, New York. I'm just going to call out some of her exhibits, which were very intriguing for me. Take Back Your Body in 2018, Dark Beauty in 2020, and slated to release in 2021, The Interrupted Landscape. So let me welcome you to this forum, Dr. Daria Darosh, to the Women Economic Forum, which is being hosted in Bangalore. A warm welcome to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sujata. It's a pleasure to be here and to have the opportunity to meet and see and hear what women are thinking internationally. It's such an honor. And so I've actually listened to some of the plenary sessions and found them really interesting.
Yes.
And I've adjusted my short presentation to areas that I think have perhaps not been so deeply mined. So, you know, one of my interests as an artist, researcher, and educator is looking at the culture for how the same systemic patterns show up in different disciplines. And I use my 3 disciplines to see if I can spot patterns that are everywhere, planetary. As an analog-born person, I've never seen this happen before, but I found a number of patterns. And I thought what I could bring to the group that may be listening and to our speakers is what I think I found as the overall large patterns that then have a tremendous impact on the tiny one-person patterns that are happening globally. Because I think that's where the action is, that's where we can act from. There have been many speakers giving wonderful talks on how, to energize yourself during this very stressful time. So I will not so much go there. And there have been other speakers talking about big concepts like how do we reboot our cities and our health system and our schools, which are all very valid, but they've done a great job. So what I want to do is show you, here's where I'm sheltering in place. Let's see. This is my studio 2 hours north of New York City. I'm sitting in a little chair outside of my studio since March. Wow. And trying to make good trouble on the internet and discovering what is the new territory that I want to take up. If anybody's curious about why I'm wearing these things, you can check out my Instagram. But I'm basically definitely interested in taking back my body, and I'd like you to take back yours. So how do we do that? Because our body has been a product, women have been a product forever, and it's time for change. And it's a change that cannot be stopped, as many of the leaders of this conference have said. Diversity, inclusion, that's the new system. So I'm going to go through some visuals with you because I'd like to just talk from that standpoint. For instance, here's a little map I made to talk about.
Okay.
It's reversed, so I can never go in the right direction.
Okay.
But this is how I ask myself, well, what is the new normal? Because none of us can function in a way. I'm having trouble deciding what is the future and how do I aim my goals as an artist and a human being that cares about others for a future that is not visible, because we've never seen anything like this go to your room situation we're in right now. So I would like to propose that anyone who would like to think through and map their mind, their thinking, I believe that as humans, we are so amazing that the information is all inside us already. We just haven't been able to put it out there in a way that we can see it and reflect on it. So there's more than one me. There's the me who absorbs and understands and watches the trends and knows which ones are important intuitively. And women do trust their intuition, which is a great power today, I think. But then there's this other me who needs to look at me and say, well, what am I thinking? How am I putting this together? So if you'd like to try this for yourself, this is a way to make a concept map. My way of doing it, they call it a mind map today. Over 2000 or 20 years ago, they called it a concept map. You start with a question, any question you have. And for me, it's what is the new normal? Where is it going? Well, you could start by looking at who are you? What do you want? And when I ask myself that, I know that I'm a senior member of the human family, so I know things. I'm past 70, I know things. And so I make things. I'm an artist, I make things. I'm an educator. I care about what others, how they advance, because I can help them. And I believe that human dignity for all is the goal. Without that, the game we're playing is not any fun. It's more fun when you have dignity for all. And then another branch you might do is, what do I know how to do? You could list, what do you know? What have you experienced? I've experienced time, I've experienced loss, I've experienced collaboration, digital culture. And I have been involved in several trends and patterns experiences because of my fields. So my students used to say back in the day, oh, that's so 5 minutes ago about fashion, whenever you would do something. And I thought that it was so funny because in my time, my youth, 5 minutes was way too short. We thought 15 minutes was short. Now 5 minutes is too long.
Yeah, it's a very transactional kind of not to stereotype, but yeah, it's different.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So they made that up. And so what is 5 minutes ago? What I've observed as what's 5 minutes ago is privilege, all kinds of humans functioning on privilege. That includes white privilege, women privilege, beauty privilege, power privilege. That is so 5 minutes ago. And the economics of scarcity is so 5 minutes ago. And working for the other guy is so 5 minutes ago. And doing business as usual in economics, education, and the arts, everything is so 5 minutes ago. So what are we left with? Well, we're left with the big picture, which I tried to get out of the way for you, but I can't. I'll have to stand up. Nope, this way. Okay.
Interesting, very interesting.
So this is the big picture. This is the key to my whole talk.
Okay.
I have noticed the pattern in my lifetime. I've felt it, tasted it, that the big things that came my way were the cell phone, the t-shirt, the jeans. And I had to ask myself, because I was doing fashion and I was making art and I was in a collaborative group of women, why is this happening? What does it tell me? Well, now with COVID and our go to the room and climate change, I think I know what it's telling us. Or that's what I'd like to leave you with. My hunch is that the power of the small has come on our menu, on our radar, and that's happened because of the digital age. The power of the small is important because that means that every individual, wherever they are, can make a micro difference that will make a mega difference. And because we are all one in a way. And so it doesn't matter what kind of work you do, what office you're in, what city you're in, country, city, whatever, if you're beautiful, ugly, old, young, wherever you are is that butterfly. You are the butterfly that is flapping its little tiny wings. So what has helped make that happen? Well, it's because we can talk like this today without moving out of our safety zone wherever we are. And that is rather magnificent. So I could explain, talk about this for hours, but I will simply show you what I've decided to do is, I've decided to take on this space, the Zoom space, because I think it has no dignity. So as an artist, I know how to make backgrounds. I just know these things. As an artist, I have tons of visual material. I can make backgrounds, and I want to humanize Zoom because I think it's inhuman. It does not consider beauty. Women should own this space because we know about beauty. We know the power of beauty. We know the power of image. So this is what I've been experimenting with for my friends, for myself. And so as an artist, this is what I know how to do to lift human dignity so that we can feel good about ourselves. And that's really important because we're in such a stressful time. So if you have any questions, I've left out 1,000 things, of course, but if you have any questions or want to engage any one point that I have not clarified, please, I'll allow time for that whenever you want.
That is so beautiful. When you spoke about how these micro activities or micro differences can add up to the mega difference and the big picture, right? It made so much of sense. And when you spoke about it's so 5 minutes, and we could sometimes underplay the 5 minutes, but it's turning out to be something beyond our imagination. And yes. When we talk about, when I say imagination, I'm looking at the imagery that you have brought in, which is to start making people feel inclusive, comfortable about themselves, and yet you use technology. And so you brought together the art, the technology in a very beautiful manner. You spoke about how it connects to the big picture. One question that I had, and a quick question, because after that we can go to Yasmira, is how do you, and since you already have done something for a lot of your friends, and in fact, one of the backgrounds that I was looking at, the first background, looked like, somebody was in the crystal ball and somebody was taking care of, the what next, right? Yeah. That being the case, and with technology playing a very integral role, how do you use technology and the power of this particular initiative to help probably the senior generation overcome a slight challenge that it might be a perceived challenge that they find using technology is a little complicated. How can you help them with that? Because I see that happening. I don't know if
Yeah.
it relates to what
Well,
you're doing.
well, first of all, there was something said at one of the panels about India that I thought was fascinating. India is a very strong country with tons of smart people. India could do better about owning its own technology. Someone said, well, why don't we invent our own cell phone? Why are we always waiting for someone else to do it? Or why don't we invent our own Zoom is what I'd like to say. This is not big money, guys. You know, you've got wealthy people. You should not rely, get caught in the old cliche of, oh, Apple did it. Oh, this one did it. Yes, I adore Apple, but maybe you'll come up with something better. And maybe you'll come up with something so delightful for the older person. And you know what? If you speak to older people, tell them what the problem is. We can't see those little tiny numbers. Our thumbs don't fit on those little tiny places. We can't, we're not fast enough anymore. Speak to your older people. You will be shocked. What happens at my age, every year is like 5 years difference. And people are differently abled. You have to help them out. They can't see in dark places. So in other words, there is no customization. One size fits all, no good. The other thing I would say is they have a resource that will soon be gone. That is, I'm trying to champion here in the United States, which is very invisible. There's only one generation pretty much that has bridged the analog and digital divide. They will be gone. Already, people who have been born have no idea what it's like to have privacy. They've never experienced it. They're always in networks, groups. They no longer function as a single reflective individual. Well, maybe that's the way it has to be, perhaps. But if they ever need to go back, where are the archives, the documents of what that was like? We have to leave a legacy for the younger ones to go forward in case they need it. We have to leave the breadcrumbs in the forest so they can go back if they need it. That's so without a cell phone, they're okay too. You got to just ask them the right questions and see what they can give us.
Which is so beautiful. So and so inclusive as well. And it all goes so beautifully with the background that you have in the art, the technology, and the fashion, the coming together of all of it. Thank you so much, Dr. Darian Darosh. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
Listening to you. Yeah. So
I'm looking forward to Yasmira.
Yes, Yasmira. So over to you, Yasmira. Would you be able to share something about yourself? I got very little information, and I'm sure our listeners would love to hear something more about you.
Okay, thank you. Well, I am so happy to be here, I'm so excited. Well, I am, first of all, thanks for inviting me to this great event, the experience for the women, okay? And Women Economic Forum 2020 is the best, one of the best event for women. It's a great experience. I have the opportunity to be in Cartagena, and it was great. Well, I was born in a beautiful village called Santa Rosa, near Cartagena de Indias, and I lived part of my childhood on a farm. So I grew up in the midst of a humble family with few opportunities for the studies because there were not the condition. The school have not fully finished the high school. So, but I always said to myself that I will achieve my dreams. I will study, teaching, and becoming an entrepreneur. Being the same place was never my option. I think I had to get the next level. As a truly dreamer, I always want to help my family. Consider my parents have been the inspiration since I was born. I can proudly say, even though my mother died last year,
sorry to hear that.
She was a permanent example for me, and her legacy of wisdom remains intact. And my father, who is still alive, he's 91 years old now. and he's a living proof of permanent struggle. He taught me how to read and how to write in that moment on the farm. Well, I was learning to improve my life. So I believe that when we have determined that's the best initiative a person can have. So in that way, I moved to the city to study my last 2 years of high school and started working. So I invest my time as a student, as a worker. And sometimes it is necessary to say to yourself, I'm famous, but still nobody knows that. I mean, knowing that that fame comes from recognition that to yourself or to your family, loved one, and coworkers, even though unknown people can give you. I remember that the first
One,
time, the first time I saw a plane, I was amazed. But I was so positive to say, I'm going to travel in that plane. I'm going to know or to visit many places in the world. And indeed, I have been in several countries. I had the opportunity to travel to Argentina, Panama, Venezuela, Dominican Republic, Spain, okay, Mexico.
okay.
So I did it. So that's the power of the initiative, I think. So
Yeah.
the powers of the word. So
Yeah.
have you heard that the words have powers? That's really true. That's my life. Okay,
That's
the
wonderful.
decision is the initiative.
All right.
Even though around that way, try to going on. I studied my undergrad in communication license. I studied a year to obtain a certification, international certification in hospitality management.
Okay.
And lately, I am studying my master in strategic management and tourist consulting. And I have my own businesses. It's an agency, travel agency, specialized in educational tourism and cultural tourism and consulting for wedding planners.
Wow.
And well, additional, of course, I'm the director of the program of tourism administration in the Fundación Universitaria Colombo Internacional, Unicolombo in Cartagena.
Well, that's wonderful to hear. And
Thank you.
what you shared, which is, a legacy that was left behind by your mother, and you want to take it all the way. And the way in which you were dreaming and looking at the airplane out there, and wondering, these are things that actually make such a huge difference. They're so meaningful, and I'm so glad we've had the opportunity at the Women's Economic Forum to have you with us. So I have a question for you, yes, Miriam.
Yeah.
So what next? There's so much that you have done. You were sharing your journey. What is your plan to take or to share your experiences of overcoming, surmounting the challenges, so that we have a lot more of successful women such as yourself, such as Dr. Daria, because this is what we want to show, not just show to the rest of the world, but we want people to start feeling and being that successful women within them. So what are your thoughts? What next for you?
Well, first, I want to tell you that exactly happened to me. I think women can determine the reins of their life, because women means strength and love. Yeah. So, for example, well, I'm gonna tell you something. My favorite animal is a fish. Why a fish? Because a fish has scales and has a fin, and the scales means protection, and the fin means to advance, yeah, to looking forward. So those words are too important for women. because I think women need to protect their feelings, and we act in a natural and a strong way to advance in life. There is a classic: the wise woman builds her house. You know, that's in the Bible. Her house means her environment, her home, her family, church, work, company, friends, amongst all. And women has a different challenge in each role she plays. In my program, I have the 90% of the students are women, are young students.
Wow.
So we are trying to motivate them to complete their study, because the most of them are the vulnerable, young people, and they need to transform their life. And I convinced that when we mix the intelligence, the knowledge, and the creativity, we can, or is the result of being human capable to transforming their environment. And that's why I try to teach. Teaching is my passion. I teach since I was 18. Okay,
Wow.
so yes.
So you've made a difference to so many lives. Yes, Meera, that's wonderful to hear. And I love the analogy of the fish, the scales and the fins. And I've never seen that. I've not seen it. While I love how the fish looks, I find it very beautiful and so agile. The perspective that you brought in, which is of the scales and the fins, are absolutely so intense. It's very nice that you see a blend of both in women, and I'm sure you've been making a huge difference to women. And I like the way in which you said intelligence and creativity need to come together to make women more capable and to take them ahead of where they are. As part of your journey, right? What could have been, probably if you could share some of the specific, if you had to talk about two huge challenges that you had to overcome to get to where you are today, while you did share your journey, but what are the two things top of your mind that you'd like to share with us, and how did you get past it and make such a difference to so many other women?
Sorry.
All right. So if there are two obstacles, challenges that are top of your mind that
Yes.
that you think you have overcome, and you have a message for more women that they can overcome as well, what would that be?
Well, I will say them, as I say, women means strength and love. And now she faces challenges in each role she plays, especially now that the crisis has come. And I think when the women has to in share of their life, decide to live and develop their dimensions. Okay, the famous thinking, that's internal. There is no recipe in which you put all the ingredients and you say the perfect solution comes out. But we must to take the circle of dimension, rotate the body, the soul, and the spirit. As I say, we have many challenges today. For example, home. The home now is the school for kids. Okay, the home office is the trending, and women now have less time for social life. Yeah, so women spend more time at home. Okay. So now there less time or less purchase, for example, of beauty products, luxury jewelry, clothing. We love that, but we can do that right now, and that stresses the women. So when you rotate this trial, you can take care of your body. So exercising, for example, medical checking, healthy eating, to have peace, to be comfortable. It is important in these days. Strengthen the soul, where we have the emotion, the will, the intelligence, to develop emotional and cognitive and adaptability skill. You know, everybody now is speaking about adaptability and different intelligences, the emotional intelligence, and we get the adaptability intelligence. Feeding the spirit, well, with the spiritual practices of each one have, to be good, to be happy with themselves. Yeah, it comes from the soul, and we can fly when we are relaxed, good. Yeah.
Beautiful.
You know, Florentino in 2008 says that we have to be resilient, and it is a need today in this crisis. Even though the crisis came, but everybody is in the same situation with this crisis.
Yes.
Are different circumstances. People are in different times, but it is important to be resilient. Yeah. As I say, Florentino says, be resilient is not having the strength to keep going. It's moving on even if you have no strength.
How beautiful is that? It's so beautiful, because and for that resilience, you're talking about a combination of the emotional and the cognitive. And I cannot, and I'm so grateful to the Women's Economic Forum to give me both of you speakers. You're talking about both sides of the brain. You're talking about cognition. You're talking about art, and how you're bringing that together to make a difference to people and overcome certain challenges. Thank you so much, because I think the inputs that you have shared will help a lot of women reboot, reconnect, and reset their lives, not focusing on what we're currently going through only, but to look beyond, which is the body, the soul, and the spirit. And it's so important to bring all of them together so that we can start loving ourselves. And like you said, we can start flying and take probably a lot of people along with us who might have challenges and who might want to go beyond their challenges. So on that note, I'm going to thank both of you, Dr. Daria and Yasmira. It's been a pleasure having you at the Women's Economic Forum. It's a virtual event, but I feel that I've kind of connected so deeply with both of you. And
Thank you.
Yeah, and I really hope to look forward to meeting you sometime in Colombia as well as in the US.
Yes, please. I hope you two here.
Yes.
I'm gonna say my info. Okay, I have my Facebook. I am not so specialized in social areas. Yeah. But I have Facebook. I have
all of that. And then because we have Dr. Daria, who has already told us how we can reinvent our backgrounds and use technology to the hilt. So on that note, thank you very much once again, and have a wonderful evening ahead.
Thank you. You are a wonderful moderator.
Have a nice day.
Thank you so much. It's been
hug. Thank you.
Yeah, hug to you too. A lot of love.
Okay.
Everyone. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.